Nice. Why F1 2026 cars are so weird? Why are they so weird?
F1's new 2026 cars have certainly divided opinion across their early running, and some elements to them are just plain weird. The huge changes to the car and engine rules were guaranteed to have some unintended consequences. There have been some wild horror stories and worst case scenarios predicted.
Hey, get me behind one of them shits, man. Fuck. Wanna drive one, man. Well, fucking drive one, bro. Can I? Yeah, somebody. I wanna drive one. Drive one. Or drive it, bro. Driving. Look at it. Looks so fucking nice. Oh, look at this one. Is this a brand new one? Oh, there's the brand new one. This is which V is this? Whose V is this? Whose V is this, bro? Can I figure out whose V is this, bro? They got everything on this except for the whose V is this. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Trying to figure out who's Honda. This is Honda's V. Now they using Honda engine. Pause. Whose V is this?
Over the last couple of years.
But look at they grills. Look at they. I don't know what they doing. They got the air intake and they got an air dispensary, bro. It look like a freaking jet engine tuck right here, bro.
In the build up to these regulations, and while most haven't come to pass, there are some.
Is this different or is it the same? Okay, front of it is a little different. I don't have this right here. One in front of it. Same air intakes. They got little mirrors right here. Okay, word, boom, boom. I'm trying to spot the difference. Try to spot the difference for me. This Ferrari right here. Who this? I don't know who this is. I don't know who this is. I want to see the side of it.
Aspects that are certainly very strange and, unfortunately, underwhelming. After watching and hearing these cars for the first time and got some very telling feedback from all the drivers, we've compiled the oddest consequences of the rules so far. And there's arguably nothing more unusual or obviously different to what came before than with the starts.
Yo, they got
Starts
little
are nothing more
grills
unusual
on
or
the side.
obviously different to what came before than with the.
I ain't got no grills on the side, bro. Oh shit. You got no grills on there?
So far, and there's arguably nothing more unusual or obviously different to what came before than with the starts. Starts have quickly become one of the most striking and peculiar features of the new engine era, as they require a prolonged aggressive pre-start phase that looks and sounds counterintuitive.
That looks like
Watching
it's going
practice
away,
starts
though.
at testing, we observe drivers sitting stationary in first
Apparently
gear for anything between 6
bad
and 20
dangerous.
seconds with the throttle open before launching. The key change is the removal of the MGU-H. Without it, there's no electrical assistance to pre-spin the turbo. Drivers must now hold high revs for several seconds to build exhaust energy, spin the turbine and reduce turbo lag before launch. But then they need to switch throttle position to manage the actual getaway and avoid wheel spin. How many revs are needed to spin the turbo enough but not compromise the race start seems imprecise. And judging if you've
That
achieved that
freaking
is
electricity
impossible.
aspect at
The
that
timing window to get it
fucking
right
shit.
also seems
Yo, look at that.
and judging
Look at that. Bro. Alright. So this day upgrade tool. What about everybody else's upgrade, bro? I'm trying to see everybody else's upgrade though.
Judging if you've achieved that is impossible. The timing window to get it right also seems razor thin, a little too much or too little, and the launch is very different, so the results have been inconsistent. Then the transition to deploying 350 kilowatts of MGUK power adds another variable, as that can't be used until the car's doing 50 kilometers an hour. So the launch phase is done between managing the V6 engine, the turbo, and the usual clutch and throttle demands around that. Then there's a big dump of electric power on top to complicate the torque demands even further. Another factor beyond the sheer inconsistency of the starts is that not all drivers will have enough time needed to pre-spin the turbo based on the current start procedure. For the cars at the back of the grid, they won't have enough time between pulling into position and the race beginning. Hence, there's a late push from some teams for this to be changed to give everyone more time on the grid. Even then, you'll have the sight and sound needed. Another then is done between managing the V6 engine, the turbo, and the usual clutch and throttle demands around that. Then there's a big dump of electric power on top.
Seems like the race cars gotta build up. It needs to warm up. It seems like. I don't mind that. I feel like cool word. I would want it to warm up first a little bit. I don't want everything to just be on the ready. I feel like that would cause more situations that we wouldn't want to be in. I feel like I don't know if that's because due to the time constraints, they haven't found exactly how to incorporate it so that it could start all at once. But I do like the fact that it takes a little bit to come in, and I like the fact, and I don't mind. I wouldn't mind the MGUK being at 50 kilometers per hour, but it would be nice if it was like maybe less. But word, I like that. I like that. I like it right there. I like it right there. You feel me? I feel like I would spam it, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I would spam it. I would spam it, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I would spam it at the starting line. I understand why it kicks in at 50 kilometers per hour, because at the starting line, I would spam it, bro. I would spam it off rip. I would spam it before my feet even hit the gas pedal. I'm spamming it, bro. I'm spamming it, bro. I'm spamming it, like, really.
To complicate the torque demands even further. Another factor beyond the sheer inconsistency of the starts is that not all drivers will have enough time needed to pre-spin the turbo based on the current start procedure. For the cars at the back of the grid, they won't have enough time between pulling into position and the race beginning.
How the hell you pre-spin the turbo, bro? Why would you pre-spin the turbo, bro? How you pre-spin the turbo? Like, shouldn't the turbo be spinning off it?
Hence, there's a late push from some teams for this to be changed to give everyone more time on the grid. Even then, the last drop to is the removal of the hold UH. Without it, there's no of the frosting we have of them all to pass. There are some aspects that are certainly very strange and, unfortunately, underwhelming. After watching and hearing these cars for the first time and got some very telling feedback from all the drivers, we've compiled the oddest consequences of the rules so far. And there's arguably nothing more unusual or obviously different to what came before than with the starts. Starts have quickly become one of the most striking and peculiar features of the new engine era, as they require a prolonged aggressive pre-start phase that looks and sounds counterintuitive. Watching practice starts at testing, we observed drivers sitting stationary in first gear for anything between 6 and 20 seconds with the throttle open before launching. The key change is the removal of the MGUH. Without it, there's no
6 to 20 seconds. Dang, 20 seconds is OD. 6 is not that bad.
Electrical assistance to pre-spin the turbo. Drivers must now
pre-spin the turbo for around 10 seconds.
Hold high revs for several seconds to build exhaust energy, spin the turbine and reduce turbo lag before launch, but then they need to switch throttle position to manage the actual getaway and avoid wheel spin. How many revs are needed to spin the turbo enough but not compromise the race start seems imprecise, and judging if you've achieved that is impossible. The timing window to get it right also seems razor thin, a little too much or too little, and the launch is very different, so the results have been inconsistent. Then the transition...
I like that, though. Okay, I like that. It's a little annoying. I understand why they trying to, like, fight it. I don't know. Is that? I feel like, I don't know if that's... Is that hazardous, though? I don't know if that's hazardous. I feel like the second bullet might be hazardous, but I feel like the first one and the third one ain't too bad. I can live with that. I can live with that. I feel like off-rip should be able to manage a clean launch. You feel me? I feel like a clean launch off-rip. Yeah, I'd be something. You feel me? But I don't know about that V6 shit, bro.
To deploying 350 kilowatts of MGUK power adds another variable, as that can't be used until the car's doing 50 kilometers an hour. So the launch phase is done between managing the V6 engine, the turbo, and the usual clutch and throttle demands around that. Then there's a big dump of electric power on top to complicate the torque demands even further. Another factor beyond the sheer inconsistency of the starts is that not all drivers will have enough time needed to pre-spin the turbo based on the current start procedure. For the cars at the back of the grid, they won't have enough time between pulling into position and the race beginning. Hence, there's a late push from some teams for this to be changed to give everyone more time on the grid. Even then, you'll have the sight and sound of 22 cars revving excessively before a start that could be wildly different in execution. As Pierre Gasly says, I advise you to be sitting with your TV on in Australia because it could be one that everybody remembers.
Damn.
A bit of F1 jargon you're going to hear a lot of this year is probably super clipping, one of the more unusual ways of charging the battery. You might be familiar with the idea of clipping already. Previously, that was when the battery ran out of energy to keep deploying the MG UK down the straight so electric power would reduce. The new engines demand a more controlled, deliberate version of this. Super clipping refers to a phase on long straights where the MG UK is used to run against the engine while the driver's still flat out. There's simply not enough energy to deploy the MG UK at full power the whole way down every straight, but instead of clipping to zero deployment, the MG UK can be reversed into generator mode. The driver's still on full throttle, the V6 engine is still flat out, but the electrical system is charging rather than deploying. The rules place a specific constraint on how aggressive this can be. For straight line charging, the MG UK is capped at 250 kilowatts in reverse instead of 350, presumably to manage the stress on the electrical system, prevent sudden deceleration effects at very high speed on safety grounds, and stop teams from turning the end of every straight into a massive recharging event. But now the cars have run in reality, that might be exactly what's needed. If the super clipping cap was lifted, then cars could harvest more aggressively while flat out, replenishing the battery faster and reducing the need for lift and coast phases elsewhere in the lap. While exact the end of every prevent and revert power out K can full the engine, super electric clipping. A bit of F1 jargon you're going to hear a lot of this year is probably super clipping, one of the more unusual ways of charging the battery. You might be familiar with the idea
In that case, I am an F1 driver.
of clipping already. Previously, that was when the battery ran out of energy to keep deploying the MG UK down the straight so electric power would reduce. The new engines demand a more controlled, deliberate version of this. Super clipping refers to a phase on long straights where the MG UK is used to run against the engine while the driver...
So wait, it runs against the engine? What do you mean runs against the engine? While the engine is using gas power? Runs against the engine.
is still flat out. There's simply not enough energy to deploy the MG UK at full power the whole way down.
So there's not enough energy to deploy the MG UK, bro. It's not enough energy to deploy the MG UK. Nice. It's a little complicated, bro. So they can't even use. So they got not only they gotta wait until they get to 50 kilometers per hour to even use it. They can't even use it full. They gotta use 5% of that shit
down every straight. But instead of clipping to zero deployment, the MG UK can be reversed into generator mode. The driver's still on
generator mode.
On full throttle, the V6 engine is still flat out, but the electrical system is charging rather than deploying. The rules place a specific constraint on how aggressive this can be. For straight line charging, the MG UK
straight line charging MG UK is at 150 kilowatts in reverse instead of 350.
Is capped at 250 kilowatts in reverse instead of 350, presumably to manage the stress on the electrical system, prevent sudden deceleration effects at very high speed on safety grounds, and stop teams from turning the end of every straight into a massive recharging event. But now the cars have run in reality, that might be exactly what's needed. If the super clipping cap was lifted, then cars could harvest more aggressively while flat out, replenishing the battery faster and reducing the need for lift and coast phases elsewhere in the lap. McLaren is particularly keen to use more super clipping to eliminate the need to lift and coast, as it argues this is the safer compromise. It believes that charging more aggressively at the end of the straight will be more uniform while exactly what's straight into a massive recharging event. But now the cars have run in reality, that might be exactly what's needed. If the super clipping cap was lifted, then cars
I'm trying to hold on. I'm trying to figure out what the fuck super clipping is. Because I thought that is just like you would charge the engine using, you know, mechanical kinetic energy to put back into the battery, right? So that's why I mean, I'm sure you could do it like that too, but the super clipping aspect is a little advanced. More. Super clipping. All right, what we got going on here? Talking about some super clipping. So, super clipping in 2026, Formula One refers to an extreme anticipated form of energy recovery system, power management. Where cars lose significant speed at the end of long straights due to battery depletion exceeding the 2025 clipping levels. It occurs when the hybrid system runs out of energy and the electric motor stops assisting, forcing the internal combustion engine to work alone, creating a dead feeling at high speed. So ain't got no more energy, so the gas kicks in. So, but it's capped though. They capped it. Bro, what? So okay, solution. Intentionally slowing and harvesting of energy to happen earlier. Wow, you can job. Throttle. Okay, so oh my gosh. Okay, okay, so okay, so apparently when the electric part of the battery runs out of power, it shuts off and it's just full gas engine. You feel me? This is going down in a straight. So all like turn the corner, you in a straight, you use the electricity for that boost. You feel me? And when the electricity runs out of power, it's called clipping. Right, so you clip it. So you on the straight, you don't use your boost. Now you ran out of boost, but you still going like 100 miles, 200 miles an hour, but you ain't got no electricity. So now your race car done switched to full gas mode. You feel me? That's the clipping part of it, right? But and then it says at the end of a long straight, causing the car to lose speed because it relies solely on the combustion engine. Okay, so then when you get at the end of the straight, your car is not actually at its top speed because your battery's now dead and you're strictly only relying on gas. You feel me? So if you have gas and electricity combined, or electricity, it seems that the race car will go a little bit faster. You'll be able to corner that corner just a tad faster. But because you done clipped while you was zooming down the street, now you're just straight on gas, and therefore you're at a slower speed than somebody who didn't use that full boost. You feel me? So now the solution to this is super clipping. So the solution to this is super clipping. Clipping is when you don't use all your electricity down the street and your car is just straight on gas power. That's clipping. And when you get to the end of the street and you're at the corner and you're trying to make that corner turn, your race car is gonna be a little bit slower doing that because you got no electricity in your race car. You're just straight on gas. You feel me? But now the solution to that is super clipping. Super clipping. Yeah, I lost my. Oh, super clipping. For the 2026 power units, which have less electrical energy available, teams will use super clipping to manage energy. It involves intentionally slowing and harvesting the energy to happen earlier, even while the driver is still at 100% throttle. How it works: electric control unit. You see, automatically commands the MGUK or generator now to switch from providing extra power to harvesting energy, creating a deliberate small drop in speed to ensure the battery starts very soon. So the solution is super clipping. So while you are on top speed, but you're not really on top speed though, right? You're not really on top speed. I'll flip you on top speed, you feel me? So I'll flip you on top speed. So it seems like off rip, you zoom in, right? At the beginning of the straight, you zoom in. You don't use your boost, and it's clipped because your battery doesn't have any energy. Now you're straight on gas, but you're going fast still, but you don't have any electricity in the battery because you just used it, right? But now super clipping comes in, which it seems to me while you like maybe 25% to so like 25% of the way, 0% to like 25% of the way, you done activated your boost and shit, right? You activated your boost, and let's say at like 35%, your boost is clipped, right? Your boost is clipped, but it's launching you. You know, switch to gas, but your boost is launching you, and 75% of the way, like, fuck, bro. Trying to get this shit. So beginning of the shit, right? Beginning of the straight. Boom, you don't use your boost, right? You use your boost. You're going over 50 kilometers. You use your boost, and you're moving, right? Boom, and you get like at 35. At 35, ain't no more electricity at all, right? So you just straight on gas because you don't use your boost. But because you don't use your boost at the beginning, you're able to fly while you on gas though. While you clip, you still flying from 35% to let's say like 55%. You feel me? 55%, right? I guess traditionally, without super clipping, you would just like use your boost, and when your boost is clipped, that's it. You're gonna switch to gas, but eventually, when you get towards the end of the straight, you're gonna have to slow the fuck down. You're gonna have to slow the fuck down, especially if the turn is tight as fuck, bro. You're gonna have to slow the fuck down if the turn is tight as fuck, right? But because you ain't got no electricity and you're straight on gas, and you're only relying on gas, your turn in that corner is gonna be slower than if you had electricity with the gas. You feel me? So when super clipping is done, when you done clipped at like 35%, you done clipped, but you still zoom in because you done use the boost, but 35% you clipped and shit. At like I would say like 65% of the way or some shit like that, you're gonna have to like, I guess, break a little bit, like a little tiny bit. What this does is gonna make sure that the battery using that little brake energy that you just apply to that motherfucker. You feel me? You're going fast though. You're going fast, but somehow you're gonna brake a little bit. You're gonna tap on the brake like a little bit like that, and then the freaking battery's gonna be like, oh shit, tapped on the brake a little bit like that. So then the battery's gonna be like, okay, so let me get some of that brake energy, and then by the time you get to the end of the straight, you can use some of that electricity with the gas that you have to get around that straight a little bit faster. I think that's what it is, bro. So I think might be the electrical control unit automatically commands the UMGK to switch from providing power. So it's not going to help you provide no power no more because you don't use the boot at the beginning. Now, because pushing a little brake a little bit, it's going to start saving the energy. You feel me? You're going to start saving the energy. Energy, small drop of speed, the battery charge, but like you're gonna charge the battery, bro. Damn, that's a fast. How fast that fucking battery charge, though? How fast that shit charge, bro? How fast that? I mean, it's in the kilowatts, 3,000 something, but I don't know how on a scale, bro. A scale of electricity, bro. I don't know what the fuck that is, bro. You know what? Let me find out. I feel like what's a KW cable in a like man, nigga, okay. All right, that won't help me, bro. This is talking about some 0.6. And that shit talking about some 3,000 some shit, bro. That's like a lot of light bulbs, my nigga. That's a lot of light bulbs, though. It's a lot of light bulbs, man. It's just imagine mad light bulbs, my nigga.
Could harvest more aggressively while flat out, replenishing the battery faster, and reduce cap bend by speed on safety grounds, and stop teaming.
That's a lot of fucking light bulbs. Oh, that's the cap. It's capped at it's capped at 2,000. No, it's capped at 250 kW and in reverse. So I guess the reverse means that it's taking in electricity. It's capped at 350. Damn, the light bulb is 0.06. And that's just one of them shits. I done seen it's probably less than that. Oh, this one's talking about something that's 0.01. You feel me? Yeah. Oh shit! No. It's talking about something between 0.005 to 0.01. And I don't even think that's like. I think it's just. Nigga, I don't fucking know, bro. It's just nigga. Super clipping. You clip the shit. You start up with mad energy with the electricity, and then the electricity runs out, and then you pushing the brake a little bit, and then the fucking electrical box takes the energy from the brake and it charges back up. Oh, but you still have a little bit left though. Wait, in reverse. What you mean in reverse? In reverse? So I be saying, bro. Wait, hold on. See, now I gotta back up. I gotta back up, bro.
Where the MGUK is used to run against the engine while the drive is still flat out. There's simply not enough energy to deploy the MGUK at full power the whole way down every straight, but instead of clipping to zero deployment, the MGUK can be reversed into generator mode. The drive is still on full throttle, the V6 engine is still flat out, but the electrical system is charging rather than deploying. The rules place a specific...
so you can either, on the straight, you can either charge it or not charge it. So on the straight, so you could charge it on the straight, or you could not charge it on the straight. That's my saying. Like, you talking about some brake energy, you could just use Nigga, you could use the gas energy, the frictional, and you use mad energy to charge this engine. So at any point, so technically you could use half of the energy to boost you, and then while you halfway to the straight, you could use the other half of the straight to charge the battery back up. In generator mode, feel me? So you can use half of it, you can use 50% of it to boost you, and the other 50% to charge it back up. If 50% of the battery gets you halfway down the straight, the other 50% of it is going to charge up the battery and get you. So you can have like a full charge battery. You can use half of the battery to boost you down the straight, and by the end of the straight, you can have a full charge battery for the next straight coming up. You feel me? So let's say if you have like a little ass straight, you feel me? A little ass straight, they usually only use 50% of the battery. So 50% of the battery in that little ass straight, in the next little ass straight, you, except by using the boost, you could just use straight gas. And then while you flying down that straight, you could charge up the battery. Boom, you feel me? You charge up the battery. And the next little ass straight, and then the big ass straight coming up, you use full 100% of the battery, super clip that shit. So by the time you halfway through, you done super clipped it, and then while you super clipped it, you push on the gas a little bit, slow down a little bit, charge up your battery. By the time you get to the end of the big ass straight, you can make that corner, you can get around that corner quickly, because now that your battery's kind of charged up 50%. You feel me? You charge up your battery 50%, and now when you get to the straight, when you get to the corner at the end of the straight, your car not really slow, only relying on gas to get you around that corner. You're using straight gas and electricity.
Constraint on how aggressive this can be. For straight line charging, the MG UK is capped at 250 kilowatts in reverse instead of 350, presumably to manage the stress on the electrical system, prevent sudden deceleration effects at very high speed on safety grounds, and stop teams from turning the end of every straight into a massive recharging event. But now the cars have run in reality, that might be exactly what's needed. If the super clipping cap was lifted, then cars could harvest more aggressively while flat out, replenishing the battery faster and reducing the need for lift and coast phases elsewhere in the lap. McLaren is particularly keen to use more super clipping to eliminate the need to lift and coast, as it argues this is the safer compromise. It believes that charging more aggressively at the end of the straight will be more uniform and predictable, because everybody will do the bulk of their recharging there as it's most effective. And something that creates a bigger speed differential with lift and coast is that
that makes sense, right? Because not only you slowing down completely, after the end of the fucking straight. You slowing down, you braking, you turning. A lot of freaking friction happening, all used to direct electricity back to the motherfucking battery. So when you get to the next little ass big ass straight, you could just super clip that. For me. Oh.
Doing that switches active aero back into cornering mode, slowing the car down more.
First gear is essential.
Until this year, first gear was barely used in F1 outside of starts, pulling out of the garage, or the Monaco hairpin. This year,
damn, that's gonna be interesting as hell, bro. Ain't nobody using no super clipping over here, bro. You super clip, your fucking car going flying at that motherfucker. You feel me? Ain't no super clipping right here, bro. You know, matter of fact, this is gonna be used for recharging, bro. It's gonna be charging right here, because you're coming down right there. If you want to charge your battery, you charging your battery up that hill right there. Once you get up that hill, you brake in, you do that tight ass turn. Battery's being charged right here, bro. Battery's being charged right here, bro. Facts, bro. Battery's being charged, though.
Far more often, thanks to the use of downshifts to optimize energy harvesting and the need to keep the turbo speed up. Gasly says he's never used first gear this much, and probably used it more than the previous 9 years he's been in F1. Even on his fastest lap of the Bahrain test, Max Verstappen dropped into first gear 3 times. Turn 1, turn 8.
Let me find out. Max Verstappen's gear comparison. God damn, bro. He was not even touching first gear, bro. He touched first gear one time by accident, bro. But now you gotta go to first gear to get that electricity charge, bro. Dang, bro. Yo, that's like dang, bro. They really dang, bro. This is fucked up. Dang, bro. Holy shit. Dang, bro. God damn, they added electricity to that motherfucker. Dang. Oh, but that means you go a little bit faster, right? Since it's electricity, right? You go a little bit faster though. I feel like you go a little bit faster since it's electricity, bro. Or a little bit faster though, because you got some electricity. But in first gear, bro, that's like, Dang, bruh. Was at the end of the straights though?
And turned 10, whereas on the equivalent last year, he never went lower than second. Dropping into first has a dynamic impact, and some teams are struggling with that more than others. As Williams driver Alex Albon says, going down to first at high revs does weird things to the car. This will also be a Alex Albon.
When you say second to first and driving these corners at such high RPM, it does weird things to the car, and they're not as refined when you do that. Yeah, because when they going down them turns, bro, they be wide in the motherfucking turns, bro. A little bumpy with it when they go that turn, though.
Says going down to first at high revs does weird things to the car. This will also be a point of difference from car to car, particularly with different engines. Ferrari is widely believed to have a smaller turbo than the rest. That makes it more responsive, and may be the reason why the Ferrari-powered cars were generally not dropping into first in Bahrain. There's also the question of what engines and gearboxes can tolerate the more savage treatment on downshifts.
Missy, they got grills.
Question of what engines and gearboxes can tolerate the more savage treatment on downshifts.
Ah, god damn it.
There's also the question of what engines and gearboxes can tolerate the more savage treatment on downshift.
Fuck. I don't think so. I didn't see grills on Navy.
Fernando Alonso grabbed headlines in Bahrain when he suggested journalists or even the team chef would be able to drive the car as under the limit as he had to in the turn 12 right-hander.
Oh shit! Hold on.
Would be able.
Is they V right here? Is they V right here? Look like they V right here. Ooh, what they doing to the side of their car though? Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Engine cooling OD.
Able to drive the car as under the limit as he had to in the turn 12 right-hander. We'd be more than happy to test his theory out, as if nothing else, it'd be pretty great content for the Race Members Club, where we bring you exclusive insight and behind-the-scenes content. And even if we're not racing against catering staff, we can still be your paddock pass for F1 2026. You can check out a 7-day free trial of the Members Club at the moment by clicking the link in the description. The level of management that Alonso was deriding is due to the need to avoid wasting energy in parts of the lap where there isn't much time to be gained, as well as maximising harvesting. Corner speeds are down this year for several reasons, notably the reduction in downforce, but the effect is far bigger in the faster corners, and that's partly down to not wanting to waste energy in them. A comparison of the minimum corner speeds of Alonso.
Bro, how you gotta charge your engine, bro? Bro, I ain't charging my damn engine while I'm driving, bro. You know, what y'all doing, man? I got time to be charging the engine mid-drive, bro. Shit, mid-drive, I gotta charge my engine. That got me fucked up. Anybody charging their engine mid-drive, bro.
So on his fastest lap in Bahrain testing last year versus this year shows he's 34 kilometers per hour slower in turn 12. It's a crude comparison with multiple factors contributing, including the fact that
what y'all need to do? What y'all need to do is plug that shit in the night before. Feel me? Make sure the battery got maximum engine. You feel me? Matter of fact, what you need to do is get multiple batteries. Maybe get like 10 batteries. You feel me? Get 10 batteries, charge them motherfuckers, and when I get into the pit, they gotta add like a little section for me to take out the battery, place the other battery in. You feel me? Like I do when my controller runs out of battery. You feel me? Open it up, take the battery out, put the other battery pack in, click that motherfucker, close it, and I'm good to go, bro. Why I gotta be charging my battery mid-drive, bro? Don't make no sense. Like I'm trying to drive. Like, can I drive? Can I drive though?
2026 Aston Martin is a troubled car, but this data illustrates his point. And as McLaren team principal Andrea Stella says, you have to do some counterintuitive things from a driving point of view to maximise the exploitation of the power unit and therefore achieve the fastest lap time.
But I'm saying, all you need is just a couple batteries, man.
There are concerns that the straights are becoming slightly pointless, zero-gain parts of the racetrack.
When you get the pit stop, just add that too. Change the tires, gas the motherfucker. And I know you put gas in there. For me, you put gas in there, change the tires, change the battery. Change the battery.
Track. And that bodes poorly for the prospect of overtaking, which McLaren's drivers have reported as extremely difficult when following other cars in testing. We all knew that the elimination of the drag reduction system as an overtaking aid, replaced by active aero used by all drivers at all times purely to add efficiency in a straight line, meant losing a way for cars to get closer on the straights. And the natural slipstream has been weakened because the cars will be in that low drag state too. To assist with racing, the DRS has been replaced by the overtake mode that allows for slightly higher recharging capacity and extended MGUK deployment, so you get maximum maximum electrical power for longer than in the normal mode. The problem is and the natural slips to add efficiency system as an extremely different unit has to do some counterintuitive things from a driving point of view to maximize the exploitation of the power unit and therefore achieve the fastest lap time.
What I do?
There are concerns that the straights are becoming slightly pointless, zero-gain parts of the racetrack, and that bodes poorly.
Overtaking made harder,
becoming slightly
bro.
pointless.
I think overtaking made easy, man. Forget about the straights, bro. Forget about the straights. Wait, no, that's a little harder. Because if everybody's gonna be using that MGQ. So Apple stuff. What's the MG? Said super clipping. MG U MGUK. Yeah, on the straights, they're gonna be using that MGUK, I ain't gonna lie. But that's why you don't use it, bro. Well, no, you wouldn't need to use it because since everybody's using it. But you gotta be strategic with it though. You can't be using it all the time. It depends on when you use it. Like, because like the way you use it, like in your third lap, is not gonna be the same way you use it in your fourth lap. And the same way you use it in your like 20th lap is not gonna be the same way you use it in your 21st lap. You feel me? Because like if you use it, if there's like 3 straights, 2 small straights, 1 big straight, you might sometime you might use it. You might use one of the straights to charge up for the big straight coming up. You feel me? So it depends on how they're gonna use it and how they use it offer it. You feel me? So I feel like it would make the dynamic very interesting depending on who's using the boost. If you in first place and you got a little bit of distance from the car behind you, I don't think you would need to use your MG2K. You feel me? I feel like you could hold on to it. Maybe like coming on off the end of the straight, you could use it if you haven't used it and you got a little lead. You feel me? But if you in the back and you trying to close that gap, then you might use it to get you close there. You might do super clipping instead of regular clipping. You feel me? You might not use it. You might use straight gas in the beginning of the straight, halfway to the straight. Use it to super clip. Might get you a little bit farther, and then like go on the inside. Use that brake, OD brake, maybe, and then like cut on the inside at the end of the straight to give you a little head. So yeah, I don't think the same way you use it like in one lap is gonna be the same way you use it in the next lap. It's gonna be used different ways, bro. It's gonna be used different ways, bro.
The zero-gain parts of the racetrack. And that bodes poorly for the prospect of overtaking, which McLaren's drivers have reported as extremely difficult when following other cars in testing. We all knew that the elimination of the drag reduction system as an overtaking aid, replaced by active aero used by all drivers at all times purely to add efficiency in a straight line, meant losing a way for cars to get closer on the straights. And the natural slipstream has been weakened because the cars will be in that low drag state too. To assist with racing, the DRS has been replaced by the overtake mode that allows for slightly higher recharging capacity and extended MGUK deployment, so you get maximum electrical power for longer than in the normal mode. The problem is testing shown that there's going to be a lot of cases where drivers simply don't have enough energy in reserve anyway to take advantage.
I feel like that's gonna make it a little bit more interesting, bro. I feel like that's gonna be where you see a lot of overtaking, deployment of MGUK, opening the flaps. Like, yo, you ain't got no MGUK on this round. What you gonna do? Gotta open your flap and reduce that drag. The reduction of drag is gonna help you. You feel me? The reduction of drag is gonna help you. It's gonna help you, give you a little boost because it's reducing the drag. You feel me? So I feel like a lot of combinations, using a lot of combinations. Even if you don't got that boost this lap around, you don't got that boost this lap around. Next lap around, you might have the boost. next lap around, you might not have the boost. You feel me?
Advantage of that deployment. George Russell said if you spend your energy making an overtake unwisely, you'll just get overtaken again. It'll be track dependent, obviously, and the more places a circuit has to charge and deploy, the more varied and interesting it could be. But it won't change the fact that if you use energy to overtake, it could lose you more time somewhere else. Whereas with the DRS, that was just
charge that shit back.
Isaac Hadjar reckons you could use overtake to nail the...
Listen, off rip, I'm using my boost, bro. Like off rip. That's only if there's not a speed trap on the beginning. You feel me? So I feel like Bahrain testing, yo, that's a good testing round, bro. That's a good testing like track right there. Yo, going from that testing to this to the Australia racetrack, I feel like if you utilize Bahrain testing track like you're supposed to, you feel me? I feel like then first race is either gonna be a complete fucking mess, or like somehow, some way, a really good race. I'm not sure which one of the two it's gonna be. You feel me? I feel like it's gonna be more of a complete mess. It might be I think it's gonna be a complete mess. Low key, nah, dead ass is gonna be a mess, bro.
Car ahead, but the cost of getting extra power for maybe only 200 meters on the straight would be spending 5 laps recovering energy. It may be avoidable though. A proposal from McLaren to allow more recharging on the straights will, Stella claims, give enough flexibility on energy recovery that racing is possible, and then drivers can tap into some of the better characteristics of the cars themselves. The cars are better in certain conditions. They're smaller, slightly more nimble, and able to follow more closely. So Stella reckons you could see overtaking in a traditional enough way. The problems of queuing and impeding in qualifying as drivers attempt to start their push laps with the
thing is, like, I
tyres.
don't know, like how much, like, does it, like, just a couple seconds of braking is able to charge the battery by that much. I ain't no electrician, bro. Nigga, I just put gas in my car. Like, you telling me a quick swing around a bend is gonna bring my battery back up to what was it, like 250 kW energy, and then what? Word? So you telling me every time I brake my car I got 250? Nah. You telling me I got 250k of energy being wasted? Some wasteful ass people, bro. You tell me that's 250k of energy being wasted every time I brake.
The optimum temperature window are well known. In 2026, there's the added complication of the battery demand.
Nah, it can't be. My car ain't no F1 car, bro. Gotta be a little less than that, right?
Start your qualifying lap with the battery at maximum
Can't
state
look at
of
the
charge,
battery, bro.
or you throw away lap time. On top
That's
of
what
that,
I'm saying, bro. Like, you don't need to charge this. Like, what if you have 2 batteries, bro? Wait, no, that's against the rules. Like, is that against the rules? I don't know if that's against the rules. That might not be against the rules. I don't know what the rules are, but bro, hold on. Yo,
on the quick lap, you must optimize harvesting during the lap to charge the battery, hence the use of lift and coast. So both prep and push laps are affected, with Lewis Hamilton claiming in Bahrain that there's up to 600 meters of lifting and coasting even on a qualifying lap. Particularly during the Barcelona test, the challenge of getting everything prepared was obvious in the low temperatures. That meant you have to push harder to get the tyres in the right window. But you also want to start the lap with a full battery, so you don't want to deploy the energy to help the tyre warming process. Now imagine a track full of 22 cars in the dying minutes of Q1.
I'm spamming that friggin' MG2K, bro. I'm spamming out. I'm spamming that shit, man. I'm spamming it off, man. Next corner. I'm spamming it, bro.
Trying to solve these complex equations and all the chaos that could lead to.
You don't need these. You just gotta spam it, bro. Just spam
and remember,
the button.
there's
Just
still the
spam
maximum
it,
lap time that prevents drivers going too slowly on outlaps and prep laps in qualifying. Ferrari team principal Fred Vasseur pointed out that tyres alone last year could make a difference of 6 or 7 tenths.
We don't have to forget what we did in the past and to just focus on energy management. Word.
meaning you cannot just solely focus on energy management now. All of this means an increased chance of extra prep laps and of cars running out of phase and tripping over each other. If you thought qualifying
Spam
was
the button,
chaotic
man.
at times before, you ain't
Spam the
seen
button.
nothing yet.
Just spam the button. Spam it. Spam the button.